Are you being forced into false positivity? This week I've been a little bit intrigued by something called toxic positivity. So I've done a little bit of research and I just wanted to share it with you. Toxic positivity is a phrase that's been coined to describe a situation where somebody might be facing the most dire situation ever, such as a loss, maybe grieving. It doesn't really matter what, but they're experiencing a negative situation, but they're being forced to try to be positive. Now, I'm the first person that will bang on about a positive mindset getting you halfway to where you want to go, but that's not at the expense of somebody masking real emotions that they're going through. I'm Jen Churchill, and I help women grow in confidence from the inside out and the outside in, using mindset, exercise, diet, products, and supplements so they look and feel amazing and can live their best life. In this episode, I'm discovering why toxic positivity is so harmful and what we should be doing instead. I release a new video every week, so if you don't want to miss out, hit the subscribe button underneath and you won't miss a thing. So you might know that I have something called a miracle morning routine. It came about after I read the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and how the best way is to start your day. Part of my morning ritual, without question, is visualization and chanting my affirmations to myself. My visualization board these days is a video of images of things that I want to attract to my life. And my affirmations are declarations of how things are going to be in the future for my life and what I want to bring into my life now. So there's no argument that I am a huge fan of positive thinking. So please don't think that I'm not. That said, life isn't always sweetness and light. And there are always going to be situations which cause us painful emotions and create negative feeling within us. What we mustn't do is push those negative emotions down and pretend that they aren't there, because they're for sure just going to come back at another place and time where you have less control over them, and then we're leading to all sorts of problems, right? So an environment where there's toxic positivity then is an environment which not only pushes positive thinking, but actually almost denies any negativity whatsoever. And the research that I've done showed me that it's more likely to occur in the workplace than anywhere else. A lot of corporate cultures focus on positivity and good vibes only and all of that sort of thing. So I'm not saying that given a difficult situation, you can't find the positives in it. But what we do need to do is make sure that when we're dealing with other people who are going through a difficult time, that we're honouring how they feel about it. So, for example, somebody who's really going through a tough time doesn't probably want to hear, look on the bright side, there's always somebody else worse off, all of those kind of phrases. We might think we're being well-intentioned, and doing this research, I definitely have been guilty of saying those sorts of things in the past, and I'm going to try and do things differently in the future. People who are experiencing trauma need to be able to share what they're going through. They need to have their feelings honoured. And on top of that, they need to feel like they've got unconditional support from their friends and family. We always say it's good to talk, right? And we know that particularly British men find it quite difficult to share emotions, especially with each other, because that's the traditional culture that we've had. And we know that when people can't display their emotions properly, it can lead them to feeling quite guilty, maybe sad, maybe even angry. And then that's when behaviour starts to become uncontrolled. So what else have I learned about toxic positivity? Well, it's an avoidance mechanism, so we can use it to kind of sidestep anybody who's having a bad time or a bad day, but we can also turn it on ourselves as well and deny or dismiss some feelings that we've got that are negative and kind of bury them deep inside ourselves. In the workplace, a good example of toxic positivity might manifest itself as people not feeling like they can complain or suggest doing things a different way. Generally, they do this because they fear the consequences of coming across as negative. It leads to people feeling burnt out, to be honest, and quite dismissed because they don't feel like they can contribute. It can also manifest itself in the workplace as unrealistic timescales and deadlines and workloads, actually. If you're in a situation where everybody's encouraging each other to keep your head down and don't say anything, just keep going and keep going and keep going, again, that might be a sign that there's some toxic positivity going on. Again, when next time you're in a meeting at work, have a look around. Does anybody challenge the status quo? Does anybody suggest new ideas? Or do you all sit there and listen to what the management have got to say? Again, it might be a sign that there's a little bit of toxic positivity going on there. So when people are fearful of suggesting change or suggesting new ideas in the workplace, it's suppressing actually growth, creativity, innovation, because people don't look at different ideas, different ways of doing things. They always stick to what they've always done. So what do we do about it? Well, here are some things. Number one, it's okay to not be okay. We hear that phrase all the time. Let's put it into practice. Everybody has a bad day. We can just honour the fact that they're having a bad day or a hard time. You know, there's a phrase that you never know what somebody else is going through. Ask the question. Number two, become a bit more self-aware about your negative emotions. So are you pushing things down? Are you pretending that you're okay about something when you're actually not? You need to check in with these emotions and deal with them so that they don't suppress and pop back up later when you're least expecting them. Number three, if someone does express a negative emotion to you, don't try and turn it around. Don't say that it's brighter on the other side and all of those lovely phrases. Really listen to them. The chances are, if somebody's sharing something with you, they're actually looking for a little bit of support or even just a little bit of recognition. Finally, if you are a manager or a leader within the organisation, think about creating a safe space where people can put ideas and suggestions. Just going back to all of those phrases of there's always somebody worse off than you, look on the bright side, all of those things. There are alternative ways of saying those things. And there are alternative ways of dealing with somebody who's saying to you that they're having a difficult time. So what I've done is I've captured them all in a PDF download for you, totally free, leaving the link for that in the show notes below. It just gives you some alternatives of things, ideas that you might want to say instead. It certainly has helped me no end. The very opposite of toxic positivity is something called tragic optimism. Tragic optimism invites you to get really intimate with all of your emotions, good and bad. You can't avoid difficult life situations, unfortunately, but by dealing with them properly and in a timely manner, you can leave them in the past and you can grow from them. Tragic optimism is also 100% grounded in authenticity, so there's absolutely no room for creating a false environment of positiveness when it isn't there, because it just wouldn't be authentic. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. It's absolutely fascinating for me. Obviously, I'm only just scratching the surface, but I've really recognised I'm guilty of some of this stuff as well. I am a real firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I totally believe the universe has got my back and your back. Even when it doesn't feel like it, I do think things are happening for a reason, even if I haven't asked for them. But what I'm learning about toxic positivity is not everybody wants to hear that. On a bad day, somebody doesn't want to hear that it's all happening for a reason. And even I don't want to hear that on a bad day. I need to honour what I'm going through myself. So please let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this topic. If it's been helpful, a little thumbs up as well. It really helps me to deliver the content that you're looking for, and it helps other people find my stuff as well. So it's much appreciated. And in the meantime, you have a fantastic week.